don't all have to be C of E. They can be anything they like, but sometimes people put these down by default, and maybe years ago they wouldn't have put spiritualist, but we're seeing such a great increase that people are open enough to their faith to actually say, that's what I do, and the hospital loves it, you know. So
I know many people that have gone in, friends of mine who are mediums.
Yes.
And you just put the fact that you're a spiritualist on the form when you go into hospital.
Yeah.
You can bet your bottom dollar the nurses will be coming along and can we have a reading, please?
Oh yes.
Can you see anybody with me?
Yeah.
There's a great interest there.
It is so true, and we're fortunate in some ways. We live opposite one of the hospitals here in Milton Keynes, and often get called in there either to see a patient, to give healing, to chat to them, or sometimes ITU call us in because it's one of theirs that they wanted to work with. And the nurses and the doctors go, oh, hello, Adrian. Oh, you christened my son years ago. Because I lose track after 25 years, but it's so nice to you forget that you've been around and people recognise you, even if you can't remember them all over the 25 years. So to see that without thinking about it is so nice to see that open platform. So what got you into spiritualism all those years ago?
I was actually working for a husband and wife team, small business.
Yeah.
My background is retail.
All right.
Pleased to say I don't do that anymore.
Lucky for some.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a good environment to be in at the moment.
Trust me, I do a little bit myself, but carry on.
All right. And the lady who was one of the business owners was involved in spiritualism. And she'd got a son who was a similar age to me. I was about 17 at the time.
Yeah.
And they just said, would you like to come to church? And I have to admit, my mother is not really non-practicing C of A, and my father was a non-practicing Catholic.
Right.
And one of the greatest things in life I thank them for is there was never any pressure to be one thing or another.
No.
Your own thing, you find your own way.
Yes.
And I did at the age of 14 have a very slight involvement in our local Church of England church. I went to a youth group for a while.
Yeah.
And very soon realised it wasn't for me. It didn't work. It didn't give me the answers I was looking for.
Okay.
So at 17, I went along to this spiritualist church, and I guess you can say just got hooked.
Yes.
And from that point, I started to go and got involved. I started to sit in a development circle, first an open circle, and then I was invited into a private circle. And from there, I just got involved. I often tell this publicly, and it's the gentleman I'm talking about's long gone to the spirit world.
Right.
But he was the president of the church, and within a few months, he'd obviously saw something in me that he thought, I could do something. So he approached me and tried very hard to get me to join the church committee. Right. Which I didn't. I kind of resisted the temptation. And he said, can I give you some advice? And I said, yeah, of course. I know at 17 we know everything. But, I realised there was a lot to learn. And he said, whatever you do, son, he said, don't get involved in the SNU. So you can see I obviously don't do what I'm told. I soon became quite involved in the SNU because I actually went to a church in Sutton Coldfield, and which is I've lived in Tamworth for many years, and I went to the church in Sutton Coldfield and started there, and then just kind of moved to the church in Tamworth. And I don't know, I'm sure it wasn't an accident, because when I arrived there, the treasurer was just about to emigrate to Australia. All right. So they didn't have anybody who knew anything about finance or keeping books. Yes. And I've always had a business background and an interest in business. And so I kind of was co-opted on to be assistant treasurer for a while. Right. And there was a lady there who was the president of Tamworth Church, who was a minister of the Spiritualist National Union, a lady named Irene Leedham. And she was a lovely lady, a wonderful medium, and she was very involved in the SNU. She was on the district council. Yeah. She was involved in all different aspects. She worked at Stansted and worked around the country. And through her, I gradually got drawn into the administrative side of the organisation.
Right.
I often laugh because in those early days there was a bit of a wisdom that if you went down the administrative route, then you wouldn't be a medium or you wouldn't be a healer.
Oh, right.
And I think I've really, proved that to be wrong, because I've been working as a medium now for over 30 years, and also I'm quite involved in the administrative side as well.
Good.
So, you mix and match. I think one thing that taught me is whatever rules or laws people set down for you, you've got to be your own person. And one thing I certainly do with people when I'm teaching, I encourage people to be themselves.
Yes.
We are all unique, and I cannot subscribe to a prescriptive type of approach to mediumship, because I think every time you link with the spirit world, every time you step up onto a rostrum, every time you sit down in front of a sitter to give a reading,
yes,
every time that's a unique experience.
Yes.
And, we change by the second, both at a molecular level, but also emotionally and all of that. But the spirit world also, change. And so I think that you need to be individual in your own way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm sure you've met people that come into the movement, and they'll do a workshop, 10 minutes development, and then they're ready to go on the platform.
Yeah, I think sometimes because they're told, aren't they? They've been there
absolutely
2 weeks, you should be on the platform, and off they go.
That's right. And I'm a medium. But I think certainly one issue within spiritualism today is the quality and standard of mediumship.
Yes.
And whilst if someone really has that passion and that vocation to be a medium, then I would do everything I could to encourage them and to help them. But I always say to people, let this gift unfold gradually.
Yes.
And don't rush it.
No.
And I know we live in an age where we're used to kind of expecting everything yesterday.
Yeah.
We can't wait for things.
No.
It has to be here and it has to be now.
That's right.
I just think that maybe if some of our mediums were in less of a rush.
Yes.
And allow that gift to just develop beautifully. It is a beautiful, beautiful gift.
Yes.
And well, that's my view. It may, I'm sure.
No, I'm agreeing with you 100%, because, as you say, it's a very fast society, and spirit have to catch up with these days. Yeah. And people think, well, mediumship, well, I'll do 5 weeks and I'm a medium. And you've still got to be yourself. You've still got to be you, your personality, your character. But it's like anything else. Learn the trade. It's not a 5-minute job. It's not like healing's not a 5-minute job. Learn how to do it. And once you get the training and experience, hopefully it's the right pathway forward for them.
Exactly. That's it's the responsibility of what you do when you're actually giving a message.
Yes.
Because you are effectively, you're touching souls and you can change lives.
Yes.
And that can be done in a very brilliant, wonderful way. But also you've got to be aware that the responsibility that goes with that is important.
I agree with you 100% on that. It is down to experience and training, and I'm sure you and your churches see some people come and go because they don't get it within 10 weeks, and the ones who sit there, we do medium training every other week, and we've been doing that for quite a while, and it filters down to about 2 or 3 people, and they're fantastic because they've stayed the course, they've stayed there. It's not about the altered ego, it's more about the spiritual eye rather than the egotistical eye as in such. So once they calm down, once they want to learn it for the right reasons, not to make lots of money in it, because those are the ones that fail, generally speaking, and they want to do it for the better of the others, because it's only 3 things: support, love and guidance. You give that, you're doing your job. and it's so true. So it's nice to see new mediums come onto the circuit that are ready to do all aspects of it, you know, not just from the mediumship. Let's do a nice address first, because that has a lot of word, there's a lot of philosophy there, and hopefully if they can pick it up and channel some of that, that's even good as well.
Oh, well, I think that's key. And one of the aspects that I certainly meet regularly is the fact that people will take on board mediumship. They like the thought of giving messages.
Yes.
But you have to realise that within spiritualism, the philosophy and the teaching underpins so much of what we understand and what we expect.
Yes.
And if you're going to call yourself a spiritualist, you've got to be prepared to have your thinking broadened. And to do that, I think that you need to, you spoke a few minutes ago about learning your trade. Certainly from my experience, I see people who are frightened by the thought of philosophy, and certainly we don't have many of the great orators in the movement that we had in the past.
No.
People like Emma Hardinge Bruton and Gordon Higginson,
Yeah.
and people like Jean Bassett, who could really command an audience.
Yes.
And hold them in the palm of the hand.
Yes. I mean, even Ursula Roberts was the same, wasn't she? When she
Oh gosh, absolutely.
when she worked.
I never met Ursula in the flesh, so to speak, but obviously I know quite a lot about her, and it's so important, because once you've accepted that life is eternal and you've had the evidence of your loved ones,
Yes.
From the spirit world, then what else is there then?
I know.
You need to have that philosophical background and approach, and then it becomes a life's journey.
Yes. I mean, it happens at any age, that awareness is awoken. And even recently, in the last few years, I've been working with a lovely lady. She's 91, never understood about it, but had all these experiences.
Yes.
And she goes, "Oh, Adrian, I understand it. I'm not frightened of dying anymore. I'm, as I call it, being promoted to head office."
Adrian, that's the crux, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is the crux. I was working in Grimsby last November, and I did a workshop for the church, and about 2:30 in the afternoon, they took a call, and it was from the local hospital, and they got a lady there who was terminally ill, and she wanted to see a spiritualist minister before she passed.
Yes.
So after the workshop, I rushed over before doing the demonstration in the evening, and went into this hospital room, and all her family were around her, and I just sat with her for about half an hour, and she was in and out of consciousness, because
Yeah.
obviously she was heavily medicated.
Yes.
But it just brought a sense of a peace there with her. And I actually rang the hospital when I got home on the Monday, and spoke to the sister who had rung me to get me to go.
Yes.
And she said, "Oh no, she hasn't passed yet. She hasn't gone yet." But it just seemed as if there was a change there.
Yes.
And also, I was very conscious of all of the family that were sitting around the bed.
Yes.
And being able to help them as well.
Yeah.
To help them get through that process, because when somebody that we love dearly dies,
Yes.
that can be quite a challenge, even with what we believe and know to be true.
Absolutely.
Like I say, there's just so many examples of when we can help people, and that's got to be what it's all about.
Well, I think that's absolutely right, because that's where sometimes Orthodox religion falls apart, because they can't give you any. I'm not looking for evidence, but anything beyond the physical life, although the Bible talks about the life beyond the physical life and all that sort of thing, but there's no one trained to help them with that experience. I've got hope that you're going to give me something to indicate that life is eternal, as it says in the Bible. And it's really nice to see that. And sometimes I have to laugh with some of the funerals that I do, because I meet the people before they pass over, and there's quite a few that are non-believers, and that's wonderful, that's their belief system. But for a family that comes to our church, Father was very, very weak and not long to go, so we prepared his service with his blessing was around him. And a week before he passed, because I don't know whether he sensed something or not, because he didn't believe in any religion, you know, he was completely non-existent on that. He said, come over here, Adrian, come and tell me what you believe, because I just need to understand this. And he said, that's it, all right, I don't want to know anymore. But obviously his family still come to the church, and years on, he's still coming back going, oh, yeah, I understand it now, but he just wanted to hedge his bets just in case there was something else.
And of course, the major challenge that most religion faces nowadays is engaging with the younger generation.
Yes.
Because for some of them, church, God, they're dirty words. They don't
Yes.
want any part of that. And if we are to navigate the future of our movement, at some point we've got to hand over the banner, haven't we?
Absolutely.
To the next generation. So I sat up at Gateshead last night in the service. I went up for a meeting but stayed for the service, and it was lovely to look round a congregation and see all ages.
Yes.
And I see that in a lot of our churches. And certainly we have one or two youngsters who clearly they're on the path.
Yes.
And you can see it, and I suppose very much as somebody looked at me when I was 17, the president at Sutton Coldfield Church, and he thought, yes,
yeah,
as long as we can keep him away from the SNU, we'll be fine.
I can't understand that. I really can't understand.
No, it's amazing. It often makes me laugh, but never mind. You know, that's life.
Yeah.
But no, I think because we have maybe a slightly different approach and we are less rigid.
Yeah.
We can help them, and of course, the kind of key word at the moment is mindfulness and spirituality. And if you talk to the younger generation, that's what they're looking for.
Yes.
You know, they're looking for that. So it's just, I think we've got to be broad in our thinking and package for them what they're looking for in a way that they can accept it.
Yes.
And I'm not saying we turn ourselves inside out and we become something that we're not.
No.
But we have to engage with them, and we have to share with them, you know, what our spiritualism means to us.
Yes.
And be prepared to answer their questions and and allow them to be part.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. And in some ways, what they're used to is obviously social media, whether it's Facebook or other platforms, you know. And obviously, what we're doing today, we're talking through the video conferencing, Skype, and there's many other platforms out there, which allows us, like yourselves, you know, through a website, we get connections from everywhere in the world, and also it gives us the ability to work with people. I'll be working with some people in America, in Canada, and a weekly call goes into India, into New Delhi. So with the power of the internet, you're reaching so many more people, and you just have to slot in obviously at the right time zones to connect with those people to make those connections. So it's certainly now opening those doors and using some of the facilities that are around everyone that most people have on their mobile phones.
Well, this year we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of a branch of the union called SNUI.
Yes.
And that is wholly internet-based.
Right.
We hold services via SNUI. We teach via it. We lecture via it. We train via it.
Fantastic.
And we have people using SNUI in 34 countries around the world.
Oh, that is good.
And that is just amazing. And I can see a time very, very shortly when we will have more members on SNUI than within the union.
Yeah.
Because growing and growing and growing and growing. And, that, I think, we see it very much because, as you perhaps are aware, Stansted Hall, the Arthur Findlay College, I'm very involved. I'm principal there. And we get people coming from all over the world.
Yes.
And, when we run weeks like Japanese Week. And
yes.
That's a challenge. Some of our tutors have been going out now for a few years to Japan, and there's an interest. And last week I actually was working with Tony Stockwell.
Oh yes, yeah.
He's very shortly going out to India, so I'm interested that you said you've got a group out in India, you know.
Yes.
And it just seems as if it's going at more and more people getting involved. And we see people coming in from abroad and they don't have the benefit of what so many people here in the UK have.
Yes.
I mean, from my home, as I sit here in Tamworth, I could jump in the car and maybe within half an hour, I've got a choice of 15 churches,
yep.
spiritualist churches that I could attend, but they don't have that abroad.
No.
You know, and this is the power of the new technology that's providing that link, that ability to train
yes.
and share what we know to be true. And I think it's a real achievement that we're celebrating the 10th anniversary. Last year we actually formed a new website for SNUI, and we're looking at the technology we're using on it and moving that up from a system where we didn't have video to now a system where we do have video.
Good.
And there's lots of exciting, very positive things happening within the movement.
Yeah.
And it's great. I think it's a wonderful time to be a spiritualist. We spend often so much time talking about the good old days.
Yes.
You know, when mediumship was so much better than it ever had.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot to do with perception.
It is, and I think what you're doing with the SNUI is fabulous. And would you mind if I arrange another time to come and talk to you like this about the SNUI? Because I think that needs to be out there and from every different angle. That's fabulous to hear all about that.
Well, yeah. Either you can arrange a time with me, or I can put you in touch with somebody that's perhaps better qualified than I am to talk about SNUI.
Okay.
Because you know, it is growing, it's moving, and I think this is what we've got to be. I meet some people going around sometimes bemoaning the fact that church congregations physically are not what they used to be. Mm-hmm. And I suppose you could look at that as a challenge, and you think, well, 50 years' time, what will spiritualism look like? But I always believe and trust that the spirit world are very intelligent.
Yeah, yes.
And I think they will harness every tool that they possibly can to be able to share this mighty message of spiritualism.
Yes.
And sometimes maybe we're the Luddites, and we don't allow ourselves to be broad enough in our approach. And you know, we see centres setting up, and we think, oh, that's in opposition to us, but no, I think if you truly allow yourself to be guided by the spirit world, there is work there for us all to do. I
think that is a fabulous statement to end on for today. But I really thank you for your time. I've really enjoyed it. It's been fantastic, and thanks for that. And obviously,
lovely to speak to you. As you can gather, I do enjoy talking about spiritualism.
Well, that may be your fault, because I may be coming back to you to talk about other things as well. So it works, so we'll be doing it again. Have a great evening. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much indeed. Nice to meet you. See you, Chris.
Bye, David.
Cheers, David. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time